At first glance, 1 and 2 Chronicles seems to land us in the world of Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel. There's long lists of names and numbers that would fit really well in an Excel spreadsheet. And then the rest of it feels a bit like a copy and paste job from other earlier Bible books. But 1 and 2 Chronicles is a book all about hope, written to a people who were losing hope by the day. Israel had returned from exile, sure. They'd rebuilt Jerusalem and the temple, sure. But it's all a bit of a damp squib. That the glory days are long gone, and all hope for the future, well, that's long gone too. And so the chronicler, the editor, gets together his history books and sets about writing his own history. And why? Well, firstly, Chronicles looks back to the past to build hope for the future. It starts with a big long family tree, and there are 3 major strands of hope to draw out as we go through that. A person, a place, and a people. A person, the Messiah, the promised King. A place, the temple where God himself would live. And a people, the united people of God. All Israel is the refrain throughout Chronicles. And for us, sometimes the present can seem fairly bleak, and the future, well, pretty non-existent, if not quite scary. And Chronicles will do us good to remind us that we're part of this one long story of glory. See, we too are longing for this same mighty kingdom, this same presence of God, and this same unity of his people. Chronicles looks back to the past to find hope for the future. And secondly, Chronicles idealizes the past to build hope for the future. Now, this is no simple kind of copy and paste job from Samuel and Kings. No, the chronicler cuts some things out and then adds new things in. But why does he do that? You see, we're out with David's adultery, Solomon's idolatry, they're gone. It's an overwhelmingly positive picture. Not that the chronicler wants to hide these things so we can't see them, but he wants to highlight what could be in God's kingdom. Now, such positivity for us should instruct us. There's the overwhelmingly brave exploits of David's men, David's own devotion as he builds and prepares for the temple, the generosity of the people funding the temple from their own pockets freely and willingly, the prayers of Solomon at the dedication of the temple. Loads to learn for us in terms of examples of faith. But above all, this positive picture should inspire us, to excite us, to leave us longing for the person who would make this all happen, the King who would fulfill all these hopes and dreams, for Jesus, the Messiah, the ideal King. The structure in Chronicles, you could divide the book into 4 big blocks. We start with genealogies, which are seemingly boring, but very important for Israel, to remind them that from Adam through to the end of exile, God has stuck with them. The second block talks about the ideal kingdom, and that centers on David and Solomon as the ideal kings. They managed to establish a kingdom. The temple has been constructed. Thirdly, we have the divided kingdom, really a potted history of good kings and bad kings, before we end with a restored kingdom, an overly positive picture of, well, particular kings, giving really a glimmer of what a restored kingdom could really look like, meant to build our hope. Chronicles is painting such a positive picture, and it's doing this, assuring us and exciting us for 2 big reasons. Firstly, so that our own hope is built up for God's kingdom. But secondly, so that this hope would then stir us up into action and activity in this same kingdom right now. Chronicles is a book of hope.